Hello, everyone, and many thanks for joining this late stream today. Because I was a bit short and still quite short on time. As you know, me with family, we are in North City, Alania now, and we were looking for a new flat for my mom. We are visiting my mom, and maybe we did find a new flat. Not sure about it yet, but it takes time, isn't it, when you are moving from one place to another. Nevertheless, sir, I did manage to prepare a news segment with the main news that Russian media and the public is paying attention to, and hopefully you will find news segment informative and useful. Before I start, dear friends, I will just remind you that if you like my work and if you want to support her, you can do it through several means. You can donate through PayPal or Boosty platforms. You can subscribe to my Patreon or page on Boosty. There is a crypto option also, and during the live streams, you can use super chat feature on Rumble. I'm streaming simultaneously on YouTube and Rumble, so you can use super chat feature on Rumble and become a premium subscriber if you want to. So there is quite an option there. And as always, after new segment, now let's have an exchange of opinions, some shorter community chat. And yes, that's about it for intro. Let's start the news update itself now. And first of all, dear friends, I'm going to start with the new threats from, you guessed whom, from US President Donald Trump. New threats towards Russia. He was having a meeting with the Prime Minister of UK, Keir Starmer, in his golf residence or whatever he has in Scotland. And let me give you some shorter video of a statement that Trump made. Let's listen to it.
But 5 times, and every time 4 times maybe, but we've had discussions, you and I have had discussions. We thought we had that settled numerous times. And then President Putin goes out and starts launching rockets into some city like Kiev and kills a lot of people in a nursing home or whatever. You have bodies lying all over the street. And I say, that's not the way to do it. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in President Putin. Very disappointed in him. So we're going to have to look, and I'm going to reduce that 50 days that I gave him to a lesser number because I think I already know the answer what's going to happen. Okay? Thank you very much.
You see this mentally ill, primitive creature that Trump is, threatening Russian president, threatening Russia. He's talking about Russian leader as if Trump is some sort of recognized political genius or something. He is one of the most despicable human beings on the planet, right? And if anybody had any doubts about it, after Elon Musk tweeted that Trump is on Epstein list, I don't think anybody has left any respect for this despicable individual, right? And look what he's talking about. He's threatening Russia with what? In particular, that he's gonna reduce this 50-day ultimatum. Okay, we will see what is going to happen. And dear friends, on this matter, I said quite a few times before, isn't it, that unfortunately, a situation looks like we're gonna see big scale escalation in short time, in couple of weeks time, max, I guess. As a result of which, escalation from the Western side, as a result of which Russia will have no option but to retaliate, and retaliate strong, and to put in their places all these criminal elements that are in charge of collective West, being globalists or neocons or their puppets like Trump is, or the Keir Starmer for that matter, right? And so get ready, dear friends, get ready. Something big is about to happen, and very soon, people like Trump will kneel and beg. You're gonna see it very soon, dear friends. They're gonna kneel and beg for mercy, and they will, by the way. we will put these motherfuckers into their places. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Sorry for my French, but when you are talking about this despicable scum of humanity like Trump, scammer, and the rest of the garbage, I mean, how you can be respectful towards them, man? You cannot, right? They are scum of humanity. And while Trump is threatening Russia and endangering basically whole world, one may argue, including U.S. citizens. Well, Russian forces do what Russian forces are meant to do and are ordered to do. They are improving their positions on the battlefield literally on daily basis. And we have TASS news agencies report that Russian forces liberated Boykovka and their Belgika settlements in a DPR. Let me show you on the map location of these settlements. So this is one, and this is another. Belgika settlement is on the southern side of Pokrovsk. Russian troops, as you know, dear friends, already are conducting operations on the outskirts of Pokrovsk, and Russian DRGs are actively operating inside the Pokrovsk too. And there is another settlement. Boykovka is located on the northern-western side of Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration. It's a daily stuff, isn't it, when Russian armed forces are liberating more and more settlements for new members of our community or for new people in alternative media. These kind of informations may come as a big surprise, because if they only receive information from one Western MSM, they would probably think that it's a stalemate. Nothing is happening. No one side is managing to move forward. But in reality, we know that Russian troops are literally improving positions on a daily basis and liberating many settlements every single week, by the way, dozens of settlements every single month, right? And well, last night, Russian forces conducted yet another long-range precise strike on military and logistics infrastructure of the Kiev regime, Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky. And on your screen right now, you can see a map of alleged direction of the Russian drones and their missiles. And from this map that was published by Kiev regime's propaganda means, well, they are acknowledging basically that main direction of Russian strikes was a military airfield in the Novokonstantinov area, western Ukraine. And this airfield, by the way, is becoming target of Russian forces on a regular basis, as you know, because it was built during the Soviet era, right? And it was built in a way that there is a lot of underground facilities. There is a lot of facilities, reinforced basically covers from planes. And whenever Russian military intelligence has information that Kiev regime and its NATO backers bring some additional weapon systems, maybe missiles or something else, maybe planes were relocated in this direction, Russian forces conducting strikes. We don't know how effective these strikes are. Obviously, Kiev regime not going to share information about it, but my hope is that every time Russian armed forces conducting these kind of strikes, they are neutralizing air force, whatever is left from Kiev regime's air force, planes, missiles, and so on. Also, dear friends, when it comes to air force, I think this is quite interesting news that Russian Su-35 fighter jets have been equipped now with their new long-range missiles capable of striking targets up to 190 kilometers away. The recent photo shows Russian Su-35 that you see on your screen, fighter armed with their R-77M or изделие 180, изделие 180, an upgraded air-to-air missile featuring active radar guidance. It's a modernized version of R-77 developed by the Wimpel Design Bureau. And this modernized R-77M is also intended to be in military intended to be used by Su-57 fighter jet too. In addition to these missiles, Russian aerospace forces already deploying R-37M hypersonic missiles with a range of up to 300 kilometers. And dear friends, allegedly, according to rumors that are circulating on internet, longest air-to-air kill was achieved exactly with this R-37M hypersonic missile. either by MiG-31 or Su-57. Obviously, information about operations of Russian aerospace forces are classified, and very little is known for now. But after special military operation will end, I guess public will be informed about at least some of the operations and about this longest possible air-to-air kill too. Recently, if you remember, one of the members of our community, Nidish Kumar, was commenting about BVR, about improvements that was needed for Russian build fighter jets in terms of BVR. And I said, BVR is beyond visual range. Combat is a constantly developing direction, obviously, in terms of air combat. And this information is exactly about these BVR capabilities, improved BVR capabilities of the Russian fighter jets. When you can launch air-to-air missile up to 300 kilometers and intercept the enemy with hypersonic speed, and also 190 kilometers, by the way, for R-77M is also quite stuff, isn't it? Very few countries in this world are actually capable to produce missiles like that. Also, dear friends, let me share you with you this information that in Moscow today there was a memorial event for killed children, victims of the Western Backer terrorist regime in Kiev, children of Donbass. And this ceremony was held not far away from U.S. embassy on a Donetsk People Republic square. You can see on your screen some of their images from this event. We all know U.S. political class does not care about Russian civilians being kids or elderly. They just simply don't care. But let the U.S. Embassy staff watch who they are supporting. Watch and see once again on which side U.S. is in this fight. They are supporting evil, right? And because they are evil, by the way. U.S. leadership is evil, right? Western leadership is evil, for sure. And hardly anybody, by the way, who is more or less informed on the criminal activity of the collective West or Western so-called elites will argue that, even in the West. Meanwhile, quite interesting news, not really surprising, but still interesting, that Austria signals readiness to abandon neutrality, citing alleged Russian threats. So Austria's foreign minister, Beate Meini-Reisinger, told their Volt that the country is open to reconsidering its long-standing neutrality and potentially joining NATO. And okay, who cares? Who cares, really? As it was in case with Sweden and Finland, these countries were not really neutral. They were almost completely integrated in anti-Russian coalition of the West. And that's why Moscow didn't really have much reaction when Finland and Sweden joined NATO, because from military standpoint, it changes nothing. It changes no calculus, at least on a significant level, because we knew Finland and Sweden was a part of anti-Russian coalition anyways, right? Now, as these countries are officially in NATO, Russia has every reason to basically counter this step from these countries. And you know reports that Russian armed forces are actually building certain military facilities not far away from Finland, just in case. And when it comes to Austria, by the way, it's a somewhat similar story. We just don't care. Austria is not really a neutral country. No one in this world sees Austria as a neutral country. Same can be said about Switzerland. So both can join NATO. Let them go ahead and do this, man. Okay. We don't really care, but and it does not changes significantly Russian military calculus, or it would not influence Russian military doctrine, because Austria and Switzerland are Russian enemies anyways, right? Let's be real on that. But nevertheless, information is quite interesting because you might find some people, by the way, that still might argue that, you know what, I mean, Switzerland and Austria, they're still neutral, and this and that, but in reality, they are not, brother. In reality, they are not. And local elites are basically acknowledging this, isn't it? That because no one really sees them, no one among other countries, I mean, in the leadership of other countries, sees them as a neutral, really. Then what is the point to continue this game, right? That they are neutral. So, okay, nevertheless, let's continue with some other news. Netherlands labels Israel as a threat to a country for the first time. One might say quite surprising news here. The Dutch counterterrorism agency accuses Israel of political interference and their disinformation campaigns. Their agency also raised concern over threats from Israel and the US towards the ICC. Well, I don't think anybody cares about ICC, but it is interesting that Netherlands government find some guts to basically say something about Israel. That's quite surprising, right? Not just to say something, but to basically designate Israel as a threat to their country. Will it mean much? Will it influence Israel's behavior? I don't think so. Obviously, it will not. Unfortunately and shamefully for a whole of world and whole of humanity, Israel still continues conducts genocide of Palestinian people with their impunity. And as I said, by the way, in my previous updates, I think only realistic way to stop this atrocious behavior of Israel is if countries worldwide, countries of different organizations that are more or less independent from their influence of the West, like BRICS, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, certain organizations from Middle East, for example, Africa, might get united because this cannot be done in UN because the US and France, UK, they will block any initiative that will be seen as a step against Israel, because we know these countries are controlled by Israel in many ways, right? Especially US, by the way. US president, so-called president, is a slut of Mossad, so what we are talking about, right? And so, yes, the only way to stop Israel is if countries outside of the collective West will get together, come up with a stronger warning or the ultimatum to Israel to immediately stop genociding people, immediately stop its criminal activity, immediately withdraw forces from occupying territories, including from Jerusalem, parts of Jerusalem that Israel is occupying, and to begin paying, to agree on concessions. It's very significant concessions, right? Obviously, Israel will refuse, and in that case, countries outside of the Western world have to take military action. That's it, man. I'm quite sure, if necessary, Russia can demilitarize Israel in matter of hour, literally, just 1 hour, dozen aviation strikes here and there, and that's it. Israel no longer has nuclear capabilities. Israel no longer have any air force whatsoever, and nothing. So Russia, China, and other countries, by the way, definitely can play a crucial part in this, and this has to happen, by the way, has to happen. Israel, this fascist entity, has to be demilitarized, denazified. This is only way Israel might survive on the political map as a state, if it's demilitarized and denazified, and if Israel, under their adequate leadership, will behave adequately and respectfully towards other peoples. Right? This is the only way. Otherwise, at some point, by the way, I guess Middle Eastern countries will have had enough. They will manage to gather whatever strength they might need it, and they will take action, and nothing going to help Israel in that case. They're going to wipe out Israel from the face of the earth. So only way Israel to survive is demilitarization, denazification, compensations for all the crimes for decades and decades that fascist Israelis were committing, right? And then adequate leadership and adequate behavior. Only in that case Israel might survive. Otherwise, well, mark my words, dear friends, otherwise Israel gonna be deleted from political map. Meanwhile, interesting report that IAEA representative will visit Iran within the next 2 weeks. The Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs reported, which is a quite stranger information to see nowadays, because earlier we all know that Iranian leadership made decision to cut all the ties with IAEA for obvious reasons. IAEA, as a tool of Mossad and CIA and MI6, was used for justification of this illegal attacks on Iran by Israel and US. And why on earth Tehran now is allowing IAEA stuff back in Iran, I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe Iranian leadership is just playing too much. They're trying too hard, basically, to please Western so-called elites, and they're gonna lose. They will continue. If they will continue on this path, they're gonna lose, and lose big time, because Western ruling class is not the force with whom you can actually have a deal. They're not gonna honor nothing. It's a destructive force. Western ruling class is an existential threat for humanity, and that says it all, right? So Iran is on shaking ground, there. And same time, while on one side Iran is demonstrating its weakness and allowing IAEA back in Iran, which is stupid decision. Let's be real here. On the other side, Iran is trying to act tough, and the Iranian leadership is saying that Zangizor Corridor is a traitor backed by the US and Israel. So the Zangizor Corridor poses a direct threat to Iran national security and serves US-Israeli interests. Saeed Ali Akbar, Velayati, advisor to Iran's supreme leader, stated he called it a geopolitical tool to weaken the axis of resistance, cut Iran's land access to Caucasus, and impose a southern blockade on Iran and Russia, NATO, and pan-Turkic forces are backing their project. And well, I can understand the logic behind these statements. Zangizur Corridor, by the way, is an area that connects mainland Azerbaijan with the Nakhichevan Autonomous Republic through Armenian territory. So this is mainland Azerbaijan, by the way. This is Armenia here, and this is Nakhichevan, and this borderline is a Zangizor Corridor. That's what they call, right? And Iran is obviously against it. Because that will cut Iran from a direct link to Armenia, and that is southern Caucasus. Especially if you keep in mind that Iran and Azerbaijan are not really on good terms, even though Azerbaijan is majority Shiite Muslim republic, as Iran itself is, but nevertheless Azerbaijanis are Turkic-speaking people, and I guess this is the reason why Azerbaijan is strongly affiliated with the Turkey, and also, maybe surprisingly for some, or maybe not, but also with Israel. Right, so yes, aid of Iran's supreme leader definitely has a point when he says that they will oppose the creation of Zangizor Corridor, but what they're gonna do about it? Question is, rumors are that U.S. Considering to get involved big time in this region, and to basically acquire control over this territory, Zangizur Corridor, to basically allow Azerbaijan to have direct land link with the Nakhichevan Autonomous Republic. But Yerevan, officially at least until now, never acknowledged that there is any talks with the US or any other party about transfer of control over the Zangizur Corridor. But definitely something is cooking there. Something is happening, and I'm quite sure not just Iran, but Russia is also paying quite close attention to these developments. But yet again, question is, I mean, on one hand, you are trying to act tough. I'm talking about Iran. On the other hand, you are demonstrating your weaknesses while basically almost begging Western for some attention and the deal, and you are backing down basically under the Western pressure and allowing IAEA stuff again inside Iran, stuff that you said were uh, spying on Iranian scientists, Iran's nuclear program in favor of Israel. So what the hell are you doing, Iran? It's I don't know. I just don't know. Anyways, let's continue, dear friends. And the next news is also from Middle East. There was reports that Russian air defense systems shut down 4 drones in near the Khmeimim air base in Latakia province of Syria. Origin or is of these drones are not known, at least for now. No one claimed the responsibility for this attempted attack on Russian airbase, but information itself is clearly highlights dangers that Russian militaries are facing while staying in Syria, and I really hope Russian leadership will reconsider its current stand and will withdraw Russian military bases in Syria, because I don't really see reason why should we have bases in Syria if Latakia province, if local Shiites or local Alawite people that are part of Shiite Muslims, Shiite Islam, if Alawites would claim independence from Damascus and began creating their own republic on the coast of Mediterranean, that will explain, at least, right? That will make, in that case, it will make sense to keep the bases there, right? Because I believe Moscow can have a good working relationships with their independent Latakia, let's say, but Moscow cannot have relationships, definitely not normal and not good relationships with their terrorist regime in Damascus. It's just not possible. So why we are keeping bases there, I have no freaking idea, man. And why Russian militaries are risking their lives staying in Syria. It makes no sense to me personally. And this information confirms that they are risking, by the way. I mean, just yesterday night, 4 drones were intercepted near the Khmeimim air base. Nevertheless, let's continue. We have this report, also interesting one, that Cambodia and Thailand agree to an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, which will take effect from midnight tonight. Earlier also was reports about ceasefire, but in reality, sides were continuing to shelling each other, and now this is a second or third time now. Sides are talking about ceasefire. Let's see if they will honor this agreement, basically, and if they will really de-escalate. Hopefully they will. Because casualty numbers are increasing, obviously, as this conflict escalates. RT is also reporting that, quite interestingly, first direct flight took place from Moscow towards Pyongyang and have already landed. So the first direct flight between Moscow and Pyongyang in Russia's post-Soviet history successfully landed in North Korea on Monday morning. Previously, the only direct air route between Russia and North Korea connected Pyongyang with Vladivostok, a major city in Russia's Far East, and was operated by North Korean state carrier Air Koryo. The reintroduction of regular service between their capitals, interrupted for more than 75 years, signals strengthening relations, officials said. And this is true, by the way. I said quite a number of times that if North Korea will open its market, its economy for Russian business, for Russian investments, well, they're going to see a flow of tens of billions of dollars, by the way, in investments. And in 10, 15 years' time, you would not be able to recognize North Korea. Even this short time, by the way, will be enough to make tremendous jump forward in North Korea in terms of economical development, in terms of improvement of the quality of life. And seems like little by little, step by step, but this quite self-isolated country, North Korea, little by little, but seems like opening its border and economy for Russia. Just a couple of weeks ago, I reported about opening of their tourist resort that will be only for North Koreans and the Russian citizens. Now, these direct flights, good. Well done, by the way. Clearly, Moscow and Pyongyang are getting closer and closer, by the way, and not everybody is happy about it. For example, Politico is come up with the article that North Korea chooses Russia. Kim Jong-un's sister rejects dialogue with the US and South Korea. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea has firmly allied itself with Russia and has no intention of making concessions to the United States or its allies, according to statement from Kim Jong-un's sister, as reported by Politico. And you can see on your screen right now, sister of Kim Jong-un. And she's allegedly, she's basically second when it in charge, by the way, after North Korean leader and potentially future leader of North Korea. So her opinion definitely matters. So Kim Yo-jong previously declared that the Pyongyang has nothing to discuss with Seoul due to its hostile policies. She also dismissed the new South Korean unification minister John Dong-won's call for renewing dialogue, describing it as empty rhetoric masking the same old hostile stance. As Politico noticed, North Korea has no intention of resuming diplomacy with South Korea or the United States anytime soon, and instead remains committed to deepening its ties with Russia, including support for Moscow's actions in a special military operation. Okay, by the way, quite interesting news. It's up to North Korea, obviously, with whom to be friendly and with whom to not. But I'm quite sure improvement of the relationships, further deepening of the ties between Moscow and Pyongyang will have positive impact on relationships between North and South Koreas too, because Seoul is clearly signaling, by the way, to Moscow that they don't really want her to be seen by Moscow as a hostile. They don't want. They are basically trying as much as they can to basically minimize negative impact that Western influence on North Korea has on relationships on South Korea. Sorry, has in terms of relationships between Moscow and Seoul. And if South Korean political leadership continues with its careful policies, that definitely might bring Pyongyang and Seoul closer with assistance of Moscow sometime in the future, not necessarily like in a year's time or two, but sometime in the future, this might and will happen, and Russia will help this one people, by the way, basically to find a divided nation, basically to find their common ground. Let's continue. Leonost is reporting that Trump announces a trade deal with the EU, by the way, and I barely can call this a deal, by the way. US is basically robbing EU for hundreds of billions of dollars in as an ultimatum. They come up with the ultimatum, and Brussels agreed on that. And probably you have seen videos of Trump statements, Ursula statements. Let me give you some short clips on that. For example, this is when Trump
750 billion, 600 billion, opening up the country. We are agreeing that the tariff straight across for automobiles and everything else will be a straight across tariff of 15%. So we have a tariff of 15%. We have the opening up of all of the European countries, which I think I could say were essentially closed. I mean, you weren't exactly taking our autos, you weren't exactly taking our agriculture, and then you would have smaller things, but for the most part, it was closed. And now it's open. It's open for our companies to go in and do a good job with it. I think you'll like them. I think you'll like it. And we will, very importantly, they'll be investing a lot of money, but the military is a big number, but that's one number we're not determining. It's going to be whatever it is, but they're going to be purchasing hundreds of billions of dollars worth of military equipment. They're very important. They're going to purchase $750 billion worth of energy. So that's going to be great. And $600 billion worth of investments into the United States over and above what they have. So, and I think that basically concludes the deal. I mean, those are the main factors. I don't think there are too many other factors, other than we're going to get along great. And we have a great relationship now with NATO, which is largely the same. I mean, not exactly, but pretty close, right? Largely. And with NATO, as you know, they're going up to 5% from 2%. And the relationship is very strong with NATO. So I just want to congratulate you. I think it's great that we made a deal today instead of playing games and maybe not making a deal at all. I think it's, I'm going to let you say, but I think it's the biggest deal ever made. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
And now let's see what Ursula has to say. Also a short clip.
Divided into 3 years, so during his term, 250 per year. And indeed, we still have too much Russian LNG that is coming through the back door again to our European Union, and some Russian gas and oil still in the European Union, which we do not want anymore. We want to absolutely get rid of Russian fossil fuels. And therefore, it is much welcome to purchase the more affordable and better LNG from the United States. And there, approximately, our estimation is that we can do 250 per year over 3 years.
Unbelievable, by the way, unbelievable. And I wonder what Europeans themselves think about this craziness, man. Basically, what happened is that Trump forced Brussels to agree that they're going to buy energy sources from US for 750 billion, by the way, in next 3 years alone. Right? That's what Ursula is talking about, like 250 billion each year for next 3 years. And you'll understand, of course, that LNG from US is much more costly than natural pipeline gas from Russia or even LNG from Russia. After all, just take a look at the distances, right? But yet again, Brussels, globalists, by the way, they are seems like also focused on reindustrialization of US on expense of Europe, and that's exactly what is happening, right? Process of the industrialization in Europe gonna continue and further accelerate after this agreement, and well, US will win. But I'm not sure about Europe, by the way. Many countries already express disappointment about this deal. For example, Prime Minister of France stated that, let me give you a quote, "It is a dark day when an alliance of free peoples united to affirm their values and defend their interests resolves to a submission." That's the reaction from French Prime Minister. It says quite a lot, isn't it? Germany is not happy, by the way, because tariffs going to stay in place, like 15% tariffs across the board, right? And on top of that, Brussels being forced now, or European countries being forced now to buy LNG from tremendous volumes of LNG from US. That will make business that will make business in Europe even more expensive to do business there, right? Do it through further inevitable increase of energy costs. And still, by the way, I mean, still only statements like that, well, this is a dark day for Europe and this and that, but in reality, they are doing nothing. Okay, Brussels, by the way, they are unelected officials, right? They don't care about citizens of France or citizens of Germany or citizens of Spain that gonna lose jobs, by the way, because many businesses gonna shut down their manufacturing plants there and move it to US or elsewhere. But officials in these countries, in new member states, should care about their fellow citizens, right? At least a little bit. But they don't care too, by the way. And maximum what they will do is like statements. I mean, like that. But it's a sad day, by the way. Really? Really? Holy moly, man. And as long as European citizens, by the way, majority of people in Europe do it through their indoctrination, are in deep sleep, I mean, no one is challenging these crazies. No one is challenging these crazies, by the way, that are ruining basically future of European states, future of economy of European states, and ultimately future of the people of Europe, right? Number of, obviously, Russian media, Russian public, Russian political class also pays attention to developments between US and the EU, and we have, I can give you a couple of reactions. For example, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov warns of consequences of a new US-EU trade deal. American energy resources will be significantly more expensive than Russian ones, which is true, by the way, just factual. It is clear that such an approach will lead to further deindustrialization of Europe, to the outflow of investments from Europe to United States, which is also true. That's exactly what's going to happen. This will be a very strong blow, first of all, for to the energy prices in Europe, the outflow of investments for European industry, European agriculture. He said at the 11th All-Russian Youth Educational Forum, Territory of Meanings. And he has a point, by the way. That's what I was saying for how long now, that while destroying relationships with Russia, including in terms of energy cooperation in energy fields, European bureaucrats basically are destroying future of the Europe itself, because they are destroying European economy and competitiveness of European economies. And I mean, it's just too obvious, isn't it? You don't have to be economist necessarily to understand this, that when you have a cheaper source of energy, you are more in a better position, right, to be competitive on the world market. And if you're replacing relatively cheap energy source with a tremendously expensive energy source, then you're gonna lose competitiveness, because your goods will cost more, right? It's just too simple. But yet again, Europeans don't care, man. European bureaucrats don't care. I don't know about peoples, by the way. You know, if they are in such a deep sleep that they don't really understand what is happening, then I mean, I guess they don't care too. I mean, majority of societies in Europe that are actually being zombified, by the way, at this point, with their brainwashing, constant brainwashing, and constant propaganda of the Western ruling class. But what you gonna do about it, man? RT is also reporting that Trump wiped the floor with the EU, according to Medvedev, former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council. Of course, did not lose this opportunity to troll basically European bureaucrats, right? And he's quite good at the trolling, one might say. Although there is a trolling and a trolling, by the way. He's actually saying the truth, right? While at the same time trolling the European bureaucrats. So the new trade agreement between the US and EU is completely humiliating for the Europeans. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has stated the deal announced on Sunday by US President Donald Trump and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen includes a requirement for EU member states to increase imports of American energy and defense products. It also imposes a blanket 15% tariff on EU exports to the US, terms accepted by Brussels to avoid even steeper trade penalties. In a social media post on Monday, Medvedev, who serves as deputy chair of Russia's Security Council, claimed that the terms of the deal meant Trump had wiped the floor with Europe. One can only feel sorry for ordinary Europeans, Medvedev wrote her. He asserted that where Trump is seeking economic benefits for American businesses, EU leaders are motivated by an ideological anti-Russian sentiment, as the deal further commends Brussels' intention to terminate all purchases of Russian oil and gas. And this is true. This is true. The Trump administration has used tariffs as a tool to confront what it considers unfair trade practices and chronic deficits in the trade with their key partners. In the absence of a deal, EU products could have faced tariffs as high as 50%, but there are going to be no 50% tariffs now, because, EU bureaucrats and the bureaucrats of EU member states going to rob European taxpayers for trillions of dollars, by the way, at this point. Trillions of euros, not dollars, trillions of euros, while purchasing these crazy volumes of tremendously expensive US energy, LNG, or the oil, and also, by the way, while purchasing US military equipment for also hundreds of billions of dollars. But yet again, as I already said, majority of European societies are in deep sleep, and they just simply in no position to even understand what the hell is going on, I guess, right? Nothing to be said about absence of even theoretical chance that majority of European societies will even be able to wake up ever. Not just now, but ever. They've been done, by the way. They've been zombified, and as in zombie movies, once individual turns into a zombie, there is no return from that, right? And that's what happened mentally, I'm talking about, in case of majority of European citizens. They just been brainwashed so much that I don't think they will ever be able to face their objective reality and acknowledge even objective reality, to do then something about it. Anyways, dear friends, few more news for this news segment. A quite interesting one here about a plane that Qatar gifted to US presidential office, let's say. So the Qatar's so-called free gift to Trump will cost $934 million to renovate, according to New York Times. This plane needs upgrades, understandably so, with the latest communications and the protective tech to be used as a presidential aircraft. The millions were taken from Sentinel project's budget, focused on modernization of aging ground-based nuclear missiles. So, okay, by the way, Trump are gonna renovate this plane, or his security service, or whoever will be engaged in that work, and they're gonna take money from nuclear forces. Okay, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Nothing is free. First of all, nothing is free, right? And this was clearly bribed, by the way, what Qatar did. They knew Trump is a mentally ill element, and he would be, he will jump around while hearing that he's gonna get a gift of like plane that worth $400 million or something. And he did act like crazy, isn't it? And now additional top on top, right? On top of this corruption point, $934 million from US taxpayers to go for this plane. Okay, by the way, would not be better if US presidential officer then ordered a new plane from Boeing, for example, instead of doing some renovation on our existing one? I don't know, man, but it's a crazy stuff. Nowadays, when it comes to US, by the way, hardly anybody has any understanding what the hell is going on in that country, man. They have a president that is in Epstein list, and there is a tremendous number of videos, by the way, when Epstein and Trump are, behaving like they are best buddies, right? And God knows in how many tremendous crimes Trump was involved. As time goes by, more and more information going to be revealed, and it's going to be sickening. By the way, it is already sickening, right? What level of degradation American elites or the Western elites in general has reached, right? But when it comes to Trump in particular, I mean, this degenerate definitely would not stay in office for next 3 years. By the way, U.S. citizens deserve better for sure, and I think Vance. I'm not Vance's biographer, obviously, but I truly hope Vance is a genuinely good human being. I hope this is the case. I don't know, but in any case, by the way, he cannot be worse than Trump, right? Because Trump is destroying whatever is left from U.S.'s reputation, by the way. Am I correct? Even diehard Trump supporters in the past probably will acknowledge this. I don't think there is any diehard Trump supporters now in existence, because you cannot be Trump supporter, by the way. If you have a strong moral core and principles, you will stay supporter of the certain policies of administration, because administration is not just one person, right? You might stay supporter of the party despite all the flaws, but when it comes to Trump himself, this personality, I don't think anybody with a strong moral core and principles would be able to see himself as a supporter of that kind of creature that Trump is, right? That despicable scum of humanity. Nevertheless, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that China and the US have become world's leading leaders in AI. So United States and China are world leaders in artificial intelligence technologies. And over the past year, China has narrowed the gap with the United States in this area, according to reports from Global AI Innovation Index 2025. Earlier at the World Conference on Artificial Intelligence in Shanghai, Global AI Innovation Index 2025 rating was presented, which was prepared by the China Institute of Scientific and Technological Information and Peking University. A total of 46 countries were assessed according to 5 criteria, including scientific and technological research and development, industry and technology applications, basic support resources, and development environment. According to a report carried by Chinese media in 2024, the United States ranked first with the total score of 77.97, while China ranked second with the total score of 58.01. China's Kalian News Agency noted that compared with 2023, the overall development gap between China and the United States in the field of AI has shown a narrowing trend, with the difference between the two countries narrowing from 22.02 to 19.96 points. Still, there is a gap, by the way, but both countries clearly are investing big in AI developments. Third place in the ranking was taken by the Greater Britain with 36.6. Russia took 30th place in the ranking with 17.49 points, finding itself between Turkey with 17.03 points and Estonia with 17.66 points. So, well, Russia clearly does not invest in AI as much as other countries do, and maybe this will change soon. Of course, Russia does invest in AI, significant volume, but not on the level of others. This is gonna change. But question is this AI development is really that good of a stuff and safe for humanity, or maybe there is some dangers there? Because, for example, so-called godfather of the AI, warns governments to collaborate before it's too late. And this is pioneer of their AI technologies, right? Talking about. So artificial intelligence pioneer and the Nobel Peace Prize laureate Geoffrey Hinton has urged governments worldwide to collaborate in training AI systems not to harm humanity, warning that their rapidly advanced technology will soon likely surpass human intelligence. I think this point has been surpassed a long time ago, by the way. I mean, take any AI nowadays, even a basic one, and it can do some tasks that barely any human will do, right? And in such a speed. And the technology is developing so rapidly that probably in, I don't know, maybe in even 15, 20 years, we will reach a general artificial intelligence. Maybe these programs will reach that level of sophistication. And once you have a general artificial intelligence, that's whole different stuff, isn't it? Where is the guarantees that this AI is gonna obey whatever safety codes will be put there by humans? Where is the guarantees that they're not gonna overwrite these safety codes or whatever, and then go after humans, man? I don't know. It's risky. Speaking at the World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai on Sunday, Hinton said that despite divergent national interests, no country wants AI to dominate humanity. He noted that international cooperation is unlikely on offensive AI use, such as cyber attacks, little autonomous weapons, or fake videos for manipulating public opinion. However, nations could form network of institutions to guide the development of a highly intelligent AI that does not want to get rid of people, Hinton added. He compared this proposed cooperation to Soviet-US collaboration on nuclear non-proliferation during the Cold War. Hinton, often referred to as a godfather of the AI, likened the AI development to raising a tiger cub that could become dangerous once it matures. Yes, he is comparing basically AI to a tiger cub that, once grow up, obviously can take on human, and most likely will take on human, by the way, because tigers are not pets, right? And never gonna be domesticated for sure. There is only two options if you have a tiger cub as a pet. Figure out if you can train it so it never want to kill you, or get rid of it, the scientist said. And so, yes, maybe we should never allow general artificial intelligence level to be reached. Otherwise, that general artificial intelligence is a tiger, and you're not gonna control it, man. You're not gonna be in a position to control general artificial intelligence that will have access to literally all unlimited, basically unlimited computing power, and will be as smart as I don't know, all humans are combined. So why would the general artificial intelligence then serve humanity? Well, it will have a self. It will see itself as a being, right? Why would it serve humanity? For why? I don't know. I think there is danger there for sure. By the way, there is danger, and then military is gonna develop. They're gonna be military AIs, by the way, that are gonna do some crazy stuff, and I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe there is a reason why we have not seen many civilizations all over the universe. Maybe there is some natural barriers, or maybe there is actually repeating history with the intelligence beings, that they are reaching at some point certain level of development, that they are becoming destroyers of themselves and their worlds. And I guess if that is the case, then humanity is getting closer to that point. Maybe, I don't know. Nevertheless, dear friends, share your thoughts about this and many other stuff. I will end new segment on that, and let's have a little chat. By the way, I guess there was no super chat. Ani, was there any super chat or? Okay, there was no super chat to react on, so let's have like 15-20 minute community chat, dear friends. I see a question from Cassandra. If someone wanted to escape, visit Russia soon, which would their best way to do that via the route? Do you think perhaps Alex Christopher knows? I mean, there is no direct flights. If you are in the Western country, then there is no direct flights between Western countries and Russia. And I know many people are traveling either to Georgia or to Armenia, and then from Georgia and Armenia to Russia. Many people are traveling to Turkey, for example, and then flying from Turkey to Russia. And I think when you are connecting with the traveling company or tourist company, when you are purchasing tickets, probably you will receive information or choices. You will have choices how you're gonna build your way through which countries. But as far as I can tell, most popular routes are from Georgia, Armenia, and Turkey for Westerners, by the way. And you see, Alex. From Russia, Alex went to Georgia. Last year, Alex went to Armenia, right? This year, Alex went to Georgia, and I guess he will travel from Georgia to his next destination. Let's continue. Capital Q, dear friends, or the capital letters will make it easier to spot a question or the comment that you want to be highlighted. Shinley is commenting, NATO is just a paper tiger, glory to Russia. I think so too, you know. I think NATO is a paper tiger, overestimated, by the way, by many, even here in Russia. It's a force, obviously. Don't get me wrong. NATO is a force. They have, unfortunately, they have nuclear weapons. They have quite sophisticated weapon systems, even a lot of it. But after all, you need ground forces, right? If it comes to real battle, real war, you need ground forces. In case of Russia, NATO would not be able to act as freely as they were acting with Iraq or Syria or Afghanistan, right? With Russia battle, if NATO will ever dare to actually go ahead with their open war with Russia, they will face very different fight, and I don't think NATO has ground forces for that. I really don't. I don't think either U.S. militaries are ready for real high-intensity battle. I don't think Turkish militaries are ready for high-intensity battle. And Turkey has the second biggest army in NATO, by the way. And I don't even want to mention UK or France or Germany, but they don't even have a proper, like, they It's a joke, man. Armies of France, Germany, and UK. It's just a joke, man. They cannot even march, man, on a parade. What we are talking about? It's not an army. It's some bunch of freaking LGBTQ people with their military uniform. That's all their armies are. You know, it's a joke, man. I know France and UK and Germany. They do have some elite units that are tremendously capable, for sure. By the way, no doubts about that. But when it comes to army itself, like general units, right? It's half of them gonna have a heart attack. By the way, if you take them right now and put in a zero line in a zone of special military operation, half of them will most likely get concussion on the very first day, and they will run away. By the way, or will die trying. So it is a paper tiger. I really believe in that. Especially in terms of ground forces. Air Force, yes, capable Air Force, no doubts about that. Navy, yes, capable Navy. But yet again, any war, if it comes to it, is fought by militaries on the ground. You're not gonna win a war by Air Force, right? Look at the Yemen, dear friends. Saudi Arabia, UAE, and their Western allies were bombing Yemen Ansar Allah movement for 9 straight years, and they failed. They failed to achieve submission of the Houthi rebels. They even sent ground forces, and they still failed, right? And then U.S. failed also. U.S. and U.K. they began bombing Houthis. They failed too, right? And eventually, Trump basically begged Houthis to, de-escalate, right? And Houthis continue to operate, by the way, to nowadays, right? Almost on a daily basis, they are launching missiles still towards Israel, and they're conducting attacks against the vessels that they consider to be Israeli linked to Israel, right? So, yet again, when it comes to ground battles, NATO is a paper tiger. There was a super chat, dear friends. So let me share this super chat, dear friends. So Viper, thank you very much for your super chat. And the comment from Viper is that I'm a diehard Trump supporter. Wow, that's quite stuff. How? That's the question that I have. I can understand why people were supporting Trump. They were supporting idea, right? America first. Let's be focused on America. We are facing tremendous volume of issues in many directions, from border to domestic, situations, stretch of social fabric and so on, failed, infrastructure and so on, and let's focus on America first, right? Let's do. Let's pay attention to our country and then rest of the world, right? I see it reasonable. I think same way about here in Russia. Let's focus on Russia, by the way. Let's focus on ourselves, build up our country, and when it comes to foreign policies, okay, we should be good to everyone that is friendly to us, but first and foremost, we should be focused on Russia, and that's what the Russian government does, by the way, actually, right? There is not even comparison, by the way. U.S. is spending tremendous volumes of money just for these 800 military bases that they have all over the world, right? Nothing to be said about all these forever wars and how much they cost. So I do understand why people supported Trump. But once he get, after inauguration, by the way, once he began making his first steps as a president, well, I don't know, man. If I was a U.S. citizen, I would struggle to support him because and nothing to be said about this claim of Musk that he's on Epstein files. That is you know, that is something that I would never ever manage to ignore, man. Not possible, right? But even if you don't believe in Musk's statement, why Trump is engaged in this cover-up operation? I mean, it's a legit question, isn't it? Why Trump is engaged and his administration is engaged in this cover-up? You know, why Trump bombed Iran, by the way? What for? U.S. is a participant in a non-proliferation treaty agreement, as Iran is, and U.S. supposed to be guarantor of Iran's civilian nuclear facilities, and U.S. bombed it. Why? I mean, too many questions, man. Too many questions. Trump was promising that they're gonna do some serious cuts when it comes to federal spendings, and one of the first things he did, I mean, there was a bigger, massive media campaign, isn't it? With DOG and stuff, and we cut 100 million here and 200 million there and billion here. But it's just a noise, right? Yes, they did manage to cut here and there some volume drop compared to overall spending of the federal government, right? And one of the first steps that Trump made was to ask Congress for over $1 trillion for Pentagon. I mean, there's so many red lines were crossed, by the way, by Trump and his administration. That it again, if I was a U.S. citizen, obviously I would support a conservative party, right? There's no way I'm ever gonna support those freaking idiots, man, that call themselves like Democrats or whatever, man. I mean, they are sick in the head, right? Not all of them, obviously, but this extreme neo-libs and this extreme woke individuals. I mean, here in Russia, it's a fun, isn't it? Here in Russia, by the way, I would be considered as a lefty, right? Left liberal. Here in Russia, by the way, but in the West, most likely I would be considered as a ultra right or something. That's how differently this terminology works in different countries, right? Different societies. But so yes, man. I mean, I'm grateful for your super chat. Thank you for sharing your take. But I'm quite sure, by the way, you are struggling with being supporter of the Trump. Most likely you are supporter of their party and administration, and you want this administration to be successful. That's what it is. Because after all, as I already said, it's administration. It's a team, right? It's not just one personality. And I think you will be happy when Trump will step down or will leave office one way or another, and JD Vance will take over. I think Trump supporters will be happy about that because, yet again, man, reputation. Trump, I don't know. He's not acting like many was expecting, and that's why there is a massive disappointment among Trump supporters, isn't it? I am watching, monitoring, by the way. I'm paying attention to alternative media from US too, right? And there is many creators that were openly calling for support of Trump during the election. And now many of them, majority of them, by the way, I will say, are disappointed. Majority of them. So why don't they ever allow my question? How can you justify a siege of 2 million people not getting food? Uh, Alexander, this is not for me. I'm quite sure this question. Uh, I guess you try to ask question on some other channels. I was not monitoring entire conversation of yours with a fellow member of the community, but I just see this question mark, and my mistake. I was thinking you are asking me. Um, no one can justify, by the way, no one can justify genocide that fascist Israel is committing. It is what it is. It's unjustifiable. It cannot be justified. No one should even try. By the way, no one with morality, right? It's a crime against humanity, and uh, as I said, at this point, I think without military intervention, Israel just will not stop. Without outside military intervention of global community, let's say, or global coalition, Israel will not stop, because they are killing. They already killed hundreds of thousands of people with basically total impunity, right? Which is shame on this world and humanity. But it's decision making process is not. We are not really influencing, isn't it? Seems like on decision making processes when it comes to policies of the countries towards Israel. I mean, statements, yes, there is a strong statements day in, day out, but clearly action is needed, because they don't care about statements, isn't it? They just simply don't care. And some country have to lead this process, by the way. I mean, maybe Russia will, maybe Russian leadership will cooperate with China, with the Middle Eastern countries, with the BRICS countries, obviously Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Arab League, African Union, countries in Latin America that are very vocal about these crimes that Israel is committing, and maybe some international conference will take place. Yet again, it should be done in UN if UN was a adequate organization, but UN is itself is a joke right now, isn't it? So because of the veto of US, France, and UK, UN will never ever stand truly on the side of innocent people in Palestine, right? So therefore, international conference has to be organized. Someone has to lead this, man. Maybe Russia will, maybe Brazil, I don't know. And the ultimatum has to be issued to Israel. And if they will listen, okay, then process of denazification has to take place, and demilitarization of Israel. Israel has to get rid of nukes for sure, and has to withdraw its forces from all the occupied territories. This has to happen either through political means, or then global community has to get involved, by the way, and deal with the situation, because on their own, fascist Israel is not going to stop. As fascist Germans would not stop during the Second World War, by the way. They would not wake up suddenly and say, wow, what we are doing. I mean, this is so horrible. No, they would not do it. They had to be stopped, right? And then millions of Germans went through denazification programs, right? So, let's be real here, man. Israel is a fascist state. Israelis, in my personal opinion, majority Israelis are fascists, Nazis, by the way. Modern day Nazis. That's what they are. Nitish Kumar is asking Levan, do you think AI attacking us biggest danger? For me, human losing ability to think and have unique skills of our becoming heavily reliant on AI. Well, I think before AI, probably humans will destroy the civilization. before AI will do that. But yes, I do see AI as not AI, but general artificial intelligence as a potential threat. Right now, we are dealing with artificial intelligence, right? That is constantly developing. But once it will reach that general level of general artificial intelligence, which means AI will see itself as it will think, it will be able to think independently, right? So in that point, AI is this general artificial intelligence is a being, right? Because it can think. It's an intelligence being at that point. Artificial, but nevertheless, right? And then question is, why would this general artificial intelligence tolerate humans around it? Humans that compared to general artificial intelligence are, I mean, the difference is going to be like between us and the ants for general artificial intelligence, right? So will such an entity tolerate us and tolerate risk that we might actually try to turn off, destroy servers, for example, or something to endanger this artificial intelligence? You know, it's and you know, maybe self-preservation instinct will place something in general artificial intelligence, and it will say, you know what, let's take care on these humans before they will do something to me, and that's it. So I see it as a threat, but I'm afraid before general artificial intelligence, humans themselves might actually destroy humanity. And take a look, for example, how Trump is talking about Russia. That he's gonna give Russia less days than 50 days. I mean, is if Russia not really some nuclear powerhouse country that has actually more nukes than US does, right? Is that not a danger? I think it is, because these idiots that are in charge of collective West, they might actually provoke a full-scale nuclear exchange, and that's it. But then we all are finished, right? In that case. So I think first main threat for humanity are humans. Although yes, general artificial intelligence, once that level will be reached, definitely going to represent certain risks. But I'm not qualified, obviously. I'm not a programmer. I'm not an expert in artificial intelligence. This is just my opinion, and also Donzugar is commenting, asking, U.S. Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent is a self-admitted homosexual living in a park house with his husband. Does Russia have any admitted homos at the high levels of government? No. In Russia, it's not okay when someone is talking about his or her some sexual preferences or orientation. So therefore, no one on Russian TV is talking that, you know what, I'm a heterosexual. You know, I'm a normal. No one is saying anything about their orientation. There was figures, by the way, in public field that have officially stated that, well, they are different. Okay, they are different, but when it comes to government, maybe there are some LGBTQ people there. Maybe it's but and it's not. I mean, it's not nobody's business, isn't it? No one cares really. In Russia, propaganda of the LGBTQ stuff is banned, right? Prohibited. But no one is telling anybody how to live their lives, right? So if some minister or deputy or whomever is of non-traditional orientation, then okay, who cares, man? I mean, there might be some. I just don't know. And you're not going to see Russian public figures, jumping around with their announcements that, you know what, I'm this and I'm that. It's just not normal, man. It's just not normal, isn't it? At least here, because no one is asking you, man. No one is interested in your private life. Keep it private. That's all. That's all, right? There was a donation on there was a donation on a Boosted, dear friends. So let me highlight her, if I may. So donation from Alexander. Thank you very much, Alexander, for $10 donation. And comment is, I'm all with you, Levan. We all want the genocide to be stopped. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's yet again, I think our grandchildren and their grandchildren probably will have very many critical questions about our generation, how we allow this atrocity to happen. We as a human civilization, and they will be very critical of us, justly, because our generation is a generation of cowards. About it. That's what we are, man. And unfortunately, that's what we as a humanity are at this point, coward. And they're fake, right? Because how we as a society, world community, is allowing these atrocities to happen. How? I don't know. I mean, so, it drives me mad, by the way, that I just cannot do much. What can I do? Me as a one person, right? I can talk about it. I can share information, and that's what I do, right? I cannot do anything else on top of that, and it drives me crazy. But unfortunately, this world community is just, I don't know, man. It's a shame on us, man. It's just shame on us, man. That's what it is. But maybe tomorrow something will change, and really some international conference will be called, and there are countries, first of all, outside of the collective West, but maybe some countries from collective West will also join. Maybe they will come up with some strong solutions, because this has to be done. Otherwise, Israel not going to stop. Otherwise, this current fascist entity that is known as Israel not going to stop. And we all understand this, right? Thank you very much, Alexander, for sharing your opinion and for your donation. Truly appreciate, truly grateful. Thank you. And there was a question. I see a question. Bob Hope is commenting, Levan, you speak Trump, but never about your own politics or politicians or policies. Russian, when asked her, they say that they don't care about politics in Russia. Russia lost thousands of men, but no complaints on Putin. I do speak about Russian politicians quite often. Veterans of our community can confirm, by the way. Do I have to now repeat all the criticism that I had? I don't think so, but I mean, generalizing is never good stuff. I think when you say, I mean, Russians never do this and never do that. I mean, Russians, there are 145, 48 million Russians, by the way. So who you mean, right? So therefore, I have to disagree, Bob, on this topic that Russians don't speak about Russian domestic politics or the politicians. Some may not have an interest in it. Some might do, right? When there was so many times, right? That there is certain developments, certain news, and I'm not happy about it, and I'm very much critical of, right? It was the case before. It will be case in the future. It's normal stuff, by the way. If you think you are not allowed to criticize anybody here in Russia, this is not the case. Second part of your question, that thousands of Russian military die and there are no complaints on Putin, then, I mean, you think, what should Russians do? This war was provoked by West, right? It's a West, collective West, Western ruling class that is provoked, that is constantly pushing to escalate with Russia. It was a collective West that, despite all the promises, began bringing into NATO more and more countries from their Central and then Eastern Europe, right? And eventually in 2008, it was NATO, right? It was Western ruling class that openly said that they don't give a damn no more about Budapest Memorandum. They don't want Ukraine neutral. They want Ukraine in NATO. They said it about Georgia too, right? In 2008, by the way. They conducted several color revolutions, so-called, in Kiev-controlled territory in this so-called Ukraine. Am I correct? In 2014, they finally orchestrated their bloody coup d'etat and put, while using Nazi elements, by the way, that they train in the western parts of Ukraine, in Poland, in the Baltic states, and allegedly even in UK, right? And take a look at their videos, by the way, from 2014. There was a quite organized, quite well-organized criminal gangs that were operating, isn't it there? So we understand, by the way, that this is NATO, this is a collective Western ruling class that is waging war against us, proxy war, right? They want to kill us all. They want to destroy our country, our livelihoods, and we have to protect ourselves, right? So why should I, ordinary citizen, now complain about us fighting for our survival? If necessary, and if tomorrow mobilization will be called, I'm going to check mailbox every single day. And if I'm being called, I'm going to go and do my best, right? So I don't understand this way of thinking that you put in your commentary there. I mean, we are defending ourselves. We are fighting for our survival, because if we don't, Western ruling class will destroy us. They are openly saying that they want to divide Russia, destroy Russia. They are not even hiding this. So we are at war, by the way. Maybe you don't see it that way, but that's how we see the things, right? And we, I mean, majority of us, not everybody here in Russia are on the same page with me in this, but I'm quite sure vast majority, by the way, thinks exactly the same way, that we've been attacked, by the way, by NATO, by collective Western ruling class, and we have to defend ourselves, because we just cannot retreat. There is nowhere to retreat, right? It is what it is, and we have to be united, by the way. We are at war, and we have to be united, and we have to win this war, and we will, by the way. We will. That's how it is. Thank you for your question, Bob. Froj Flanagan is here, veteran of our community. Greetings, Levan and everyone. I rarely get a free time lately. Thank you for your attention, dear friend. And thank you all, dear friends, for finding time to join this stream. It's a late stream. I explained in the beginning why I was unable to make it a little earlier, but nevertheless, many members, dozens and dozens of members of community managed to join the stream, and truly grateful for that. And dear friends, let me end then this stream. Just a question from opinion from Nidish Levan. I think her natural AI will not eliminate us, or it will keep us pets like we do it to animals. I mean, really, AI to keep us around as a sort of pets for what? I mean, we cannot even imagine how intelligent, how powerful that general artificial intelligence are gonna be in terms of intellect, right? In terms of knowledge, and I mean, it's beyond our even imagination, right? And so maybe it will keep humans around just if it will feel safe enough. If general artificial intelligence, in my opinion, will feel safe that humans are not threat for it, then it might keep us around. Yeah, maybe, because after all, exterminating all of humanity will demand certain actions and certain volume of energy to be used, and sources and resources, right? And it might not be convenient for general artificial intelligence in case humans are not a threat. But if it considers us to be a threat, then why would it tolerate us? I mean, I don't know. Yet again, I mean, many experts in the field are arguing on the matter, and majority actually is quite skeptical about possibility of symbiosis, successful symbiosis of general artificial intelligence and humanity to live together in peace. I mean, I don't know. And my knowledge in the field is very little, obviously, and I just cannot have a competent opinion as on a level that experts do, right? But I'm not necessarily skeptical. I'm not saying that we should not do any research or stuff like that. No, we should, but we should be very careful. That's all I'm saying. Because yes, general artificial intelligence might eliminate humanity, but might actually help humanity too. There is such possibilities also, right? And it's up to experts, by the way, to find the right way to go forward. Froch Flanagan is commenting, Levan, do you hear about American musician banned from a Montreal church? No, I have not heard about it. Why musician was banned from church? Did he did something wrong, or I mean, how anybody can be banned from church, man? It's a church. Everyone can go in church, as long as you are, dressed appropriately and acting appropriately. Church's doors always should be open, right? But I don't know the story. I don't know nuances, and so I don't have opinion. But I just don't know. And dear friends, let me end this stream now. Thank you all for your time, for your attention and support. Truly grateful, dear friends, and see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day and take care.